Hi, Connor.
Hi, Hannah.
How's it going?
Good. How you doing?
Good. Thanks for joining today.
Yeah, this is awesome. Excited to be here. Excited to do the inaugural, episode.
Yeah, big day for us. First one.
Yeah, this is good. We'll see how it goes.
So, welcome everyone to the Doc Pod, the OBL Doc Pod.
Yep.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about the OBL space in general and kind of how OBL marketing got started?
Yeah, I think just to give this some context and talk about what we're doing and sort of the genesis of, how we got here, and a little bit of my background too. I've been in digital marketing for about 7 years now since, we graduated college, and we've been working with doctors with, their practices across the country ever since, and helping them learn kind of the business side of what it means to run an OBL, and kind of working with them on how to find new patients, and also, how to help them educate patients on the procedures that they're doing. Kind of what we've learned in working with, these doctors across the country is that what they do as interventional radiologists is kind of the best kept secret in medicine, in a way. And so having a website, just basic kind of business acumen for these doctors, and being able to educate patients on these embolization procedures is a huge missing piece of the puzzle. They're really extremely smart doctors. All of the people we talk to are super geniuses, and we kind of realize that they haven't learned the business side of things in medical school. So I think that's kind of the idea behind it, and what we've heard from the doctors that we've been working with.
Totally. Maybe let's take a step back, and can you kind of tell me the difference between an overall family practice medicine facility versus these OBLs, and how the OBLs are a little bit more unique, a little bit?
Yeah. I think that, again, IR doctors have this great opportunity. They come out of med school as students, and a lot of them jump right into kind of the hospital setting. And that's kind of typically presented as the common way for an IR doctor to put their skills to use. And what many of these doctors are realizing is that there's a great opportunity for them to branch out and be an entrepreneur, and get out and start their own practice, and perhaps make more money that way, or be able to better serve patients. Really, at the core of it, I think for a lot of these doctors, the OBL setting allows them to treat a patient in an outpatient setting, have quick recovery times, and offer these minimally invasive procedures in a better way for their patients, versus having them go to a hospital, or going to sort of more of the traditional setting where a patient might expect to get treated. So I think that's kind of the big thing that these doctors are seeing, and why we're seeing more and more private practices pop up across the country. And so, yeah. So
from a patient perspective, they might be diagnosed with something, and then they're going to be searching for either that procedure or an alternative, or their condition. Is that kind of where OBL marketing comes in?
Yeah, typically where we come into play, or have started these relationships with our doctors, is the need to connect patient to doctor. And so that kind of can start in a number of places. Typically, doctors are getting referrals. That's the, vast majority of how these doctors are getting their patients. 90+% of their business is coming from referrals, from referring providers, and doing that kind of boots on the ground, going and making relationships with doctors in their areas who can send them patients that would be better suited, from an embolization procedure, for example. And so what that leaves out, and kind of where we see a huge opportunity, again, going back to this being sort of the best kept secret in medicine, is that patients aren't necessarily aware that these minimally invasive, non-surgical procedures are out there and exist, that would be an alternative to a hysterectomy for a woman, or alternative to a knee replacement. And so there's a lack of knowledge out there that can kind of we can bridge the gap between that by having really good content that is available for patients when they're looking for it. And so where we're able to control that narrative is kind of starts and really ends online. So having a good website that is your home base for patient knowledge and potentially, educating them and converting them to calling you or filling out a quiz or filling out that form. That's an opportunity for a doctor to get some really good content around these procedures and also have that website show up in front of a patient if they're looking for alternative to hysterectomy or alternative to knee replacement, or, hey, I have osteoarthritis in my knees. What are the treatment options in my area? And they're looking through those search results. Kind of what we've found is there's, again, a huge opportunity. There's thousands and thousands of searches happening every minute about patients looking for their symptoms, their alternative treatment options. What can I do to solve these? And so these doctors that are entrepreneurs and have branched out and started their own practice, this is a great opportunity outside of the referral stream that they're already getting to bring in new patients and be able to be visible and connect with them.
So let's take it from the top. I'm a new doctor out in the market. I've either just graduated from residency or I've been in the hospital system. I have that entrepreneurial bug that I not only want to help patients, but I also, want to own my own business. I don't want to be working for the man by any means. What is really the first thing that I need to do as a doctor is that, building referral networks? Is it building a website? Is it writing content? Is it creating a social media campaign? What is really the first step on, creating my OBL first and foremost, and then, marketing my OBL?
Yeah. I mean, there's so many steps that go into it, of course, and, a number of different people that you want to have on your side when you're, venturing out and starting your own practice, whether that's working with a practice management company that can help you from the ground up, literally get your building, secure your spot, making sure that, you're within code on all the things that you're doing practice wise. And then, speak, kind of what we're talking about, that side of things and the marketing piece. The first step is thinking 3, 4, 5 months in advance and thinking about a website and getting that set up. That's your digital storefront. That's your digital practice, if you will. And, you have your building. Now we need to get you seen online. And the first way to do that is having a website and not waiting until it's too late. We've seen a number of doctors open their practices, open their doors, and then, they're empty and there's no patients coming in or minimal, referrals. And so being able to have that foresight, I think that, hey, I need to get a site up first, get some good content in place ahead of time, securing that URL, buying your URL, just kind of basic things. Go to GoDaddy.com and search for, vascular interventional, whatever.com, and buying that piece of it. And then, building the walls and giving that, it's going to take you 30, 60 days to get you a really nice website that you're happy with at the start. And then also just kind of setting up the foundational pieces of Google Business Profile. Is my Health Grades, account that I set up in residency, Vitals, like these sort of beacons for people and the internet for you to be kind of seen and registered on, just making sure that those are in order. They have the right phone number. When you get your phone number set up and you get your phone lines secured, do you have a practice email, with that same URL that you bought that you're putting your website on? Do you have the address set up? And that goes into the Google Business Profile. And then can you start generating a few patient reviews and testimonials from the first, couple patients that you're seeing there to sort of kick things into gear and get that into motion. So I think that's kind of the first pieces of it, to answer your question.
Yeah, can we go back to the URL real quick?
Yeah.
Let's say I start a practice called Fisher Institute. Would it be the best for me to just have it be fisherinstitute.com, or is there, a certain URL formula that you've found, results in a better website or better visibility from the start?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I think there's probably a number of answers to it, and it depends, a little bit on how important that branding piece is to you and the name of your practice being in the URL. We've worked with a number of different URL structures and, just off the top of my head, Echo Medical, just having your name in that URL and being able to have that be sort of what you're known as and how people are finding you. Now, the other kind of school of thought and way you can go about it is getting what we call like a keyword rich URL, where you're just specializing in fibroids or prostates. And in that case, if you're able to secure a chicagofibroids.com or texasknees.com, something along those lines where you're getting some of those top keywords into your URL, that can be a really nice advantage to you as well. So I think there's a couple ways to go about it.
Can we define keywords real quick for the listener?
Yeah. Got a little bit technical, but the keywords would be going back to what we were talking about where, patient is looking for alternative and needs to resort to the Google,
The searches.
Yeah, the searches. Those keywords are going to be what people are typing in, sort of the core, like main idea behind what you want Google to see you as an authority for and put your website in front of a patient for. So, yeah, fibroid treatment, those are, osteoarthritis, knee pain treatment, BPH treatment, some of those top keywords.
Mm-hmm. The other thing that you mentioned in the marketing side is getting reviews from patients, from different providers, referrals, all that good stuff. Would you say there is a certain recipe to get reviews? Have you seen ways that doctors have been more successful just while balancing the whole HIPAA compliant side of it? You don't want not everyone wants the world to know that they have uterine fibroids or they pee a lot at night. So.
Yeah, it's not easy to get testimonials in the medical space. So it's going to be kind of a numbers game. And the most important thing you can do is ask. A lot of doctors are afraid to put themselves out there and have a Google business profile, which is an absolute necessity to having a practice and doing anything that you want to accomplish business-wise as a practice. You have to, be willing to put yourself and your work out there and kind of stand behind it. And, the kind of downside of that is that a lot of patients or consumers will only leave reviews when they're fired up or they're upset about something. So that's where you kind of see that you may get a 1-star. You have to accept that and be able to acknowledge it and go in there and respond to that. Any negative reviews that are out there, but the best way to grow those is by asking. So having a QR code at the front desk, making sure your office staff is incentivized and aware that that's something that we need to do is get Google reviews. You can text patients after. A lot of times, there's that post procedure kind of follow up with the patient and making sure that you're asking them. That's, you just have to ask and continue to ask and be relentless with that in order to build those reviews.
And honestly, if you have someone sitting at the front desk that is personable, who's answering the phone, they've taken the patient through from the initial phone call all the way to that leaving the building with a, thanks so much, have a good day, having that person really active in the reviews.
Yeah, that's a really good point, and something that we talk about, with our doctors a lot with reviews is that patients are reviewing the entire experience with you from the very first phone call with that office staff to how the procedure actually went. So if there's any sort of blip or hiccup in the process, for a patient, that's going to come through in those reviews. There's I told this, we spoke at the SIR Business Institute recently, and I brought this example up, but scrolling through LinkedIn the other day, I see an example of a doctor talking about a review they got, and the patient says, Dr. So-and-so saved my life, ! 1 out of 5 stars, or 4, there's 1 or 3 out of 5 stars, or something like that. And
even saving your life doesn't get 5 stars.
And it's like, well, then what does that tell you? It's that patient had some other sort of experience
that
with the
less
staff. Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of the review piece. And I know we covered a lot of different things today, but I think this is a good first podcast for people to just kind of understand who we are, what we're about, who we're working with, and what these doctors are doing, and some of the obstacles and ways that we can help them.
Yeah, and each week we'll dive into a different topic, getting a little bit more in the nitty-gritty of different marketing elements or different elements of your OBL, even bringing in some guests on here eventually who are in the space, who have done it really well. But yeah, next week we're going to be talking a little bit more about how to market directly to your patients and what that means, looking a little bit deeper in the specific marketing strategies that we have, whether it's with your website or paid campaigns. So we'll dive a little bit deeper into the marketing strategies behind making your OBL grow and marketing directly to your patients. So tune in next week. We're excited.
Awesome. Thanks.
All right. Sweet.